Testing. Okay, so I can see maybe some people joining, so I'll just wait for people to say hello so I know that I'm live before we actually do anything. Hello, Anne. Hi there, Flower. How are you? Can you hear me okay, Anne? And can you see me okay? Hello, Helen. The note worked. Do you want to look? List. I've got a list myself. Hello, Sandra. I'm glad the note worked, Helen. I'm terrible for notes. I'm absolutely dreadful for notes. Just dreadful. So we'll move them notes out of the way because you don't want to see that. Hello, Katinka. Look what I've got on my desk, Tinker. Your lovely card. I've got your lovely card on my desk. Hello, Dawn. Hello there. Good evening, Kay. Good evening, Trouble. So I'm presuming that you can hear me okay. Hello, Jenny. Hello there. Hello, Marjorie. How are you? It's very strange doing this. Hello, Maureen. How are you, lovely? Yes, to all. Sitting in my PJs looking forward to this, or thus. I'm in my PJs as well, Anne. Hello, David. Hello there. Hi, Denise. Hello, Rebecca. Hi, Lynn. So this is Katinka's card that she sent to me. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful? Look at that background. Who needs me to do lives when you receive cards like this? Just beautiful, Katinka. Hello, Lynn. Sound is great. That's wonderful. You know what it's like with Facebook Lives. I feel like I'm taking an exam because I've not done this for so long. Can you believe that COVID is nearly 5 years ago? And it's like taking an exam. I'm all nervous. Isn't it beautiful, Rebecca? Katinka sent me that. It's just so lovely. It really is lovely. Hello, Selena. How are you? Lovely to see you here. Now, I'm only going to waffle and say hello for a few moments because I know that saying hello does annoy some people, but there you go. Oh, well, you shouldn't blush, Katinka. It's a gorgeous card. Hello, Dawn. I hope you're well. Hello, Janet. I hope you're stopping coughing now at the moment, Janet, this evening. You're very welcome. I'm glad you received your package okay. Hello, Elsa. Do you know, when you go live, you don't know what to do with your hands. You just sit here. You're like, what do you do with these? Hello, Alma. Hello there. So it's weird. It's like, what do you do with your hands? Hi, Diane. How are you, lovely? How are you? Oh, it's so lovely to see you. See, somebody always joins me and then I can't pronounce the name. I'm so ignorant. Hello, Gredahan. Oh, it could be Greta, it could be. I haven't got a clue now. So apologies for my ignorance. Hello, Jane. It's like being at a party, Tracy. Don't be nervous. I get nervous at parties, Jane. Hello, Samantha. Hello there. Okay, so I've waffled a little bit now. So I'm popping live and I'm going to show very, very quickly my new release because really, when I'm doing a live now, it's going to be about demonstrations, and even whether they're simple demonstrations, more detailed demonstrations, it's going to be more about demonstrating rather than waffling on about the new release. But I do want to just show the new release very, very briefly and my samples. I'm literally just going to skim through them and then we're going to create a card that I've got no idea what we're making, other than I've got a piece of card on my desk. So this will be interesting. I can see that Elizabeth Foster has joined us. Hello, Elizabeth. I'd just like to wish you a happy birthday, Elizabeth. And I'm sure everybody else would as well. It's Elizabeth's 21st birthday today, isn't it, Elizabeth? Hello, Mary. Hello, Gloria. Football is on, so I'm so pleased you're on. Oh, not football again. I have football, darts, the Formula One, and then if it isn't that, he'll have car shows on. Hello, Kate. How are you? Hi, Kate. Hello, Jackie. Hello, Lee. Can you believe that lovely Elizabeth's actually joining us on her birthday? Elizabeth Foster, bless. So yes, have a lovely birthday and I hope you enjoy your celebrations at the weekend. Hello, Lee. How are you? I hope you're recovering well. So I'm going to get my stamps because I'm not going to waffle anymore. Hello, Elizabeth. There's quite a lot of Elizabeths actually. Elizabeth's, Liz, Elizabeth. So you're all going to get confused. How are you, Elizabeth? Hello, Karen. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're all well. So I'm just quickly going to go through my new release, but I'm not going to go through it in detail because you can actually see a detailed video on YouTube. So I don't want to repeat myself too much. It's just that some ladies, I have a lot of messages. Some people don't like YouTube. Some people don't like Facebook. So I do a YouTube video showing the new release and then some people say, but I want to see it on Facebook. So it's very difficult, but I'm not going to try and be too repetitive. F1, yay! No, Samantha. He actually went to the Italian Grand Prix. Yeah, he went to the Italian Grand Prix in, I don't know when it was. Is it July or something with my daughter? But no, I'm not interested. Hello, Victoria. Hello, Salford. I was born the same day as the king. You see, all those special there, Elizabeth, very special. I expect he's having more elaborate celebrations, but I'm content with a lovely demo from Tracy. Oh, bless Elizabeth, bless you. Hello, Lynn. Hello there. So I'm just going to quickly just go through the stamps so that anybody that catches the Facebook Live on Catch Up can then just take a quick look at the stamps. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for those of you that have seen my YouTube video, but I'm trying to keep everybody happy, those people that like Facebook and those people that like YouTube. So just trying to keep everybody happy, really. So I've got 3 stamp sets. Now, first of all, I just want to mention my design team. If you're looking for any inspiration, you can't look anywhere better than the design team. We've got Anne, we've got Rebecca, we've got Lucy, we've got Victoria, we've got Patricia, and recently joined, we've got Lynn as well. So if you're looking for inspiration with any of my designs, if you check out their social media platforms, you will be inspired, I'm sure, because their samples are wonderful. And Monza, that's it, Monza, they went to Monza. I didn't go, I stayed at home and watched gardening. So if you're looking for any inspiration, hello Barbara, then check out their social media platforms. They are wonderful and they're very sort of proactive. They really sort of go off on their own tangents. They've got a different style to what I've got, which is why they're part of the team. So just check out their social media platforms. And a huge thank you to all of you ladies for supporting me in this journey. So was it Tuesday? What day are we on now? Thursday. So on Tuesday, I released 3 stamps. I've released an A5 stamp and 2 A6 stamps. So we've got at the A5 stamp, we've got an alphabet, and it was Peggy Ann and a few other ladies that asked me for an alphabet, and I like to oblige, but I only like to oblige with requests if I can make it work with my designs and if I can make it work so that I can cram more things on a stamp set. So we've got a lovely alphabet, which is upper and lowercase. Hello, Jane. So we've got an upper and lowercase, and we've got extra letters, A-E-T-S-O-I. And you've got extra letters so that it makes it easier for you to spell out your own words, especially if you're in different countries. And obviously you want to spell out in your first language. So that's why we created an alphabet. There's no need for me to go through everything. You can see everything here. And I'll show my samples. I've measured everything on YouTube. so you can check it out there. But we've got lovely florals, and we've got some little critters here on the A5 stamp set, which you'll see on my samples. We've got a beautiful A6 stamp set, which has got a huge sunflower on there. I think it's about 3.5 inches both ways, but it's a huge sunflower. Hello Lorraine, hello Irene. And I've got some lovely samples, and so have the design team to show you. And the reason I release these is that I like to do sort of smaller releases now and then, just so that I can, if I think something's missing from the collection, I'll add little releases every now and then. And I've got some lovely sort of spring florals to add to the collection as well. But as you can see, this one here is a silhouette, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a spring floral. The other thing I just want to remind you about is when I bring out the silhouette stamps, like I've done here and like I did on the previous release with Garden Elements, when I bring out a silhouette stamp, just remember about the kissing technique, because with the kissing technique you can make things look completely different. So I'm just going to show you that, because I had an inquiry literally 2 days ago asking me about the kissing technique. I have demoed this on YouTube, but this lovely lady isn't on YouTube. So I'm just going to take the wren, the large wren from TE30. So I'm just going to show you the kissing technique, just so that I answer any queries. Thank you, Tracy. My stamps arrived today. You're very welcome, Lee. It's me that should be thanking you for your support. I love the hedgehog, the hogs. I love the hogs. But that's me all over. So when you're doing the kissing technique, the one thing that I would recommend is that you use an ink pad that isn't overly juicy. So use an ink pad that maybe you've had it quite a while. And just to prove that I have, this ink pad is dated. I always put the date on the back of my ink pad, just so that I know when I started using it. So I started using this Nocturne black ink on the 9th of April. And I like to use the VersaFine Clair inks with my stamps because they pick up that beautiful fine detail, and they're wonderful with silhouettes as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the large hydrangea skeleton. This is the large hydrangea skeleton. Let's make sure you can see that. And I'm going to show you how you can kiss this stamp onto the bird, mainly because of a couple of requests that I've had, because they knew I was going live as well. So what you need to do is you ink your silhouette stamp. Hello, honey. You ink your silhouette stamp. Just give that a really good inking. And definitely use an ink. Don't use a brand new VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink pad. Use one that you've been using quite a while. So if you keep your older Nocturne ink pads, don't bin them. Don't bin them, because you can use them for other ideas. Hello there, Sally. Hello there. Thank you for your kind words the other day, Sally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hydrangea skeleton here that's on the Garden Elements stamp set. Now, if I press this onto my stamp like so, and just press that on there, onto the stamp, onto the silhouette, and you can check if that has worked, because you can take your stamp that you've just pressed onto that one and you'll find that you've picked up some ink. Let's move this out of the way. You can then stamp. Hello there, Irene. You can then press your stamp onto your white card. I probably needed a little bit of a larger acrylic block for this bird because he's quite a good size. Bless you, Sally. Thank you. Thank you, Irene. Hello, Kerry. Happy birthday to your mum. So let's just give that a little bit of time. And then look what happens to your bird. You've then changed your silhouette stamp from a silhouette to something that's got some detail on there. Doesn't it look fun? It's just a way of changing your stamps a little bit so they look a little bit different. So let me move that out of the way and I'll just show you it again. So it just makes it just look a little bit different. But if you didn't want to do it with the floral, you can take your Nocturne stamp again and you can stamp some text on there or any background. Obviously your text will be facing the other way, but it doesn't really matter because it's just a background you're creating. So if I stamp it now after pressing the text stamp on from TE11, let's have a look what happens then. I don't need to press too hard. You can see the text stamp is a lot finer because the text on that stamp is finer in itself. But if you want to change things up a little, oh, don't worry about that, Wendy, it's not a problem. But if you want to change it up a little bit, think about, for instance, let's just turn this over. You can use stamp set TE24, for instance, and it's got the sort of compass-esque stamp on there. I've got stamps everywhere already. That's because I was asked a question before I went live. So you can take the compass stamp, and again, we can ink the bird. So think about using your silhouettes a little bit differently as well. This wasn't the demo that I planned, but I just wanted to show this mainly because I was asked. So I do like to oblige where I can. So we can press that on there and you can see it's picked up some of the ink and the bird as well. And then if we stamp the bird with the sort of compass type flower, let's lift this up. You can then see you've got the compass within the bird. So just think about your silhouettes and how you can use them. Even the small silhouettes you can do this with. It just makes everything look a little bit different. And it gives you something to make your stamps look totally different. And this is why I love stamps so much. Right, I wasn't going to do that, so I've now got stamps everywhere. So let's move that out of the way. So the reason I've come live is, one, I've got a live workshop and I didn't want to do the live workshops that I've got planned in workshop 115. I didn't want to do the live workshop and not have a little bit of a go going live beforehand, just so that I can break myself in a little bit. So that's why I've gone live. I've got 5 live workshops which are under workshop 115. You can find that on my website. So if you want to join us for the 5 workshops before Christmas, you can join us on the workshop. You simply buy the workshop and then I add you to the group. And if you're not available live, they'll be available on catch up as well. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is on my website, there is a gallery, and I started yesterday. I've started adding all my cards to the gallery. So eventually that's going to become a library. So if you can't find something in my group where you are now, if you can't find something in the group by doing a search, or you can't find a sample that you've been looking for that maybe I've made, you can then go to my website, you go to the front page, you scroll down and there's a link to the gallery. And then you'll be able to see all the artwork that I've created with the samples, so that you can then just take a quick look at a card. And if you're struggling for inspiration, you can then just look at those cards, maybe screenshot them, and then that means you've always got something to look at, especially if you can't find something that you're looking for in the group. So I have actually started that, and the gallery is up and running now, just so that you know that. Thank you very much, Lynn. That is really helpful. Thank you, Lynn. That is wonderful. I hate to ask anybody adding links because it's just, I know you're all very busy. So I'm going to do a demo now because I've forgotten how to demo live. So we're going to have a little play. We're going to chuck things on the floor because Tracy chucks things on the floor all the time. And what we're going to do is an off-the-cuff demo. Now, I found you at last. Hello, Patricia. Hello there. You've not missed much, Patricia, because I've just gone through the new stamps and I haven't shown the samples. I'll show my samples at the end. So you've missed nothing at all apart from a bit of waffle, Patricia. No problem at all. Hello, Jackie Ashton. Hello there. Hello, Sylvia. So I'm going to start reintroducing Facebook Lives again, because I'm going to do live workshops that are paid workshops, but I'm also going to be doing more Facebook Lives just to reconnect with you all, because since COVID, which was almost 5 years ago, I haven't done any Facebook Lives because I don't like to overpower you with too much. I was on nanny duty. Oh, special duties, Sylvia. I don't like to overpower you with too much information and too much going on all at the same time. So I think it's good that I've had a little break, but now it's time to come back and offer even more inspiration. If you're looking for inspiration and you don't like Facebook Lives, then there is a plethora of ideas on my YouTube channel. And you can find the link to my YouTube channel in my group. Good evening, Isabel. I just saw you live pop up. Hello there. Kay, I feel ever so bad because whenever you go live, I'm never there, or I'm packing orders, or I'm making samples, and yet here you are supporting me. Bless your heart. Thank you. So if you want to see any other inspiration, other ladies do Facebook Lives as well. Kay Rutter, who is very well known, also does Facebook Lives on crafting together with all brands. So if you want other lives with different styles, please check those people out. So, oh, I'm glad you love the YouTube, Sally. I'm actually going to be trying to perfect some areas where I'm a little bit weak, and Facebook Lives, because I've had a break for 5 years, I'm a little bit weak on that at the moment. And the other thing, I was a bit wary about going live because obviously with the demise of Create and Craft, a lot of other lovely businesses are doing a lot of Facebook Lives and Facebook Live selling. And I don't want to swamp everybody with too much. So if you're finding that what I'm doing is too much, just please let me know. So we're going to create a card now. So what I thought was, I often have a think about products when I bring products out, and when I bring products out, I like them to have a lot of uses. This is why my website will specialise in inks, stamps, stencils and blending brushes, because this is what I use. I don't want to go into a whole range of other different things like dyes, etc., because I want to specialise in an area. I want to offer, my main priority is to offer as much education as possible and to really show you how much value you can get out of stamps. Oh, bless Dawn. You'd be surprised, Dawn. It is a shame, Lee. It's such a shame. So let's do some crafting. So I'm going to use Snippet Stencil SS7. Now, I'm well aware that I've designed this as a bauble, but when I designed it, I was also well aware that we don't want to just use our Christmas products at Christmas, because that, for me, that's just a waste of money. When I've worked a 40-hour week, like you have, or whatever, you don't want to spend money on products that you can only use once. That's just not my style. So when I bought the Christmas products out, when I designed this stencil, I wanted you to also be able to use it throughout the year. So the other thing I'm going to be doing is I will be throughout the year, from January to December, I will still be showing you Christmas ideas with these same stencils that I bought out a few months ago, all the way through the year. I'm not going to be using them once. However, what if you don't want to create a Christmas card? Now this is just something I thought in my head. So my card blank is Pink Frog Super Smooth card 300 GSM, and it's 5 inches square. So it's a nice little card, not too much. I'm going to use some low tack tape, and I've even remembered to bring my scissors. Just found out our postal service is probably going on strike in 72 hours. Oh no. I hope your stamps arrive in time, Peggy Ann. Oh, mind you, is that postal strike? Because I've sent yours by courier, haven't I? I think I've done yours by courier, so you should be okay, hopefully. So what I'm going to do, and more so I'm adding some low tack tape, and I'm going to add the low tack tape just all around the card, just so that I do not add ink anywhere else. Now, when we do demos, sometimes there's nothing, you know, no groundbreaking technique. Hello, David. Hello there. There's no groundbreaking technique. It's just about ideas. So don't get too hung up about always having to have groundbreaking new techniques. It can just be about simple ideas. So I'm going to mask off this top area here, like so. So now you can see we don't have a bauble, we have a circle. Yes, I know that it's got a straight edge here, but we're not sort of worrying about that. So now I've got this circular area here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Distress Oxide inks. Hello, Helen. Hello there, welcome. I'm going to take Salvage Patina, Twisted Citron, Cracked Pistachio and Salty Ocean. Now, I'm a very, I can never say honest with a H. I'm a very honest kind of crafter, and I will only use what I believe is very useful in things that I'm using. Obviously, we've all got different ideas, different techniques, but I won't use sort of one trip pony products. That's just not my style. It's just not who I am. But the Distress Oxides is something I've used now for many, many years, and I adore them. They're easy to use, they blend beautifully, and they give beautiful, simple results. So I also, when I'm demonstrating, I will also repeat some details with techniques. That's just who I am, because there may be beginners joining the Facebook Lives, so I will often repeat myself, because I think it's important that it's all inclusive and everybody can join in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Twisted Citron first, and I'm going to use my blending brushes. Use whatever you wish to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the Twisted Citron. Now, with blending brushes, whoever's blending brushes you use, there is bend in them. You want some flexibility. Now, I'm a stamper, so that's what I like demonstrating. So when you're applying the ink to your brush, you either apply it very lightly, and if you're applying it very lightly, hold your hand further up on the blending brush. Hold it further up on the blending brush so that you apply less ink. If you want more ink, just like with your pencils, bring your fingers further down and apply the ink so that you've got a good application of ink. Now, I always said many, many years ago when I started crafting and I bought a million products I didn't need, that if I was going to do any education, and I'm all self-taught, there's no qualifications, no nothing, it's all self-taught, that if I was doing any educational videos, that I would tell you the pros and cons and what works for me and what doesn't. Because something works for me doesn't mean that it's going to be wonderful for you. Maybe it's something that doesn't say. Maybe it's something that doesn't work for you because it's just not your style. There's different reasons why things don't work. But one important thing is always cardstock. Wonderful quality cardstock is important. That doesn't mean you have to be ripped off on price, but quality cardstock is important, and it needs to be fit for purpose. So we've now got a good application of ink on the blending brush. Now, in my blending brushes, there are 5 sizes, so I'm going to use the smaller size. And have a hand like a bull in a china shop. Exactly. And to be honest, Kay, it doesn't matter if you've got a hand like a bull in a china shop. It's about technique and application. It's got nothing to do with how hard or whatever. It's just application, and how you apply things and where your hands are on the brush makes a big difference. So if you want a gentle application, look where my hand is. Now, I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs. I'm just trying to be all-inclusive to everybody, beginners also who join the lives. And we don't want beginners to be afraid to ask questions because we're not prepared to show everything from the basics. So if you want a light application, if you look where my fingers are, here, they're high up on the blending brush, just so that you can have a light application of ink. If I want a heavier application, move your fingers further down and apply the ink just a little bit firmer. Hello there, Sylvia. A bit late, but I was struggling with the time difference. No problem at all, Sylvia. Welcome aboard. So then you apply a thicker application of ink. That's as simple as it gets. Where a lot of us go wrong is that you don't apply enough of the blend. So what I mean by that is, don't think you can go like this, done. No, it's just like your pencils, your coloured pencils. Apply layers. I now have a picture of you, Tracy, sucking eggs. Bleh. Do you know I don't like eggs? But that is the saying, isn't it? Sucking eggs. Or I could just be talking a load of rubbish like I normally do. But what you need to do, even if you're adding a light application of ink, go over that ink several times, whether you've got your hand here for a light application or you've got your hand here for a heavy application. Apply that colour several times to get a smooth, beautiful blend. So now I want to add more layers of different colours. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add cracked pistachio. And I tend to sort of have a couple of brushes for greens, a couple of brushes for blues, a couple of brushes for pinks. Now, obviously, I'm well aware that's a luxury. Now, if you know, funds don't allow that, you can actually wash your brushes, or before you go to another colour, just take off your excess ink before you go to another colour. But I like to keep them in families, just so that it's easier to use. Hello, Teresa. Hello there. Hello, Michelle. It's so happy to catch you live. It's lovely to have your company, Michelle. Welcome. Hello, Teresa. Welcome. Hello, Victoria. So now I'm going to add cracked pistachio. Now, I already know I want a good layer, a good application of ink. So I'm bringing my hands all the way down and applying the ink. So now what I'm going to do is apply this ink, but not over cover the first colour. So Twisted Citron, I'm not applying the cracked pistachio so it goes all over the Twisted Citron. So I'm just applying that. So I've applied it once. I'm then going to again apply it twice. Just leave it like that. And then to blend your edges like you would with your pencils, go back with the Twisted Citron, no more ink, and just blend out the hard edges. That's it. Nothing complicated. Hello, Janet. So then I'm going to go to salvaged patina. So I want my salvaged patina. Hello, Jenny. And now I know that I want a strong application. So because my brushes are flexible, you've got that bend in there, so you can really get stuck in there and have a good application of ink. Now, the reason I'm going in really firm with that salvage patina is it's a very pale colour. So I want it to really have an effect on my colours, and you don't really notice it until you apply all the colours together. So this is not going to be a short session because I'm going to make the most of having, you know, some of your company. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to take Salty Ocean. Now I'm going to take my really fine brush, because with Salty Ocean, I don't want to add too much, because I know, because I've used it so frequently, that this is a deep, rich colour. So I'm using my very fine little brush. And now I can go in and I can just, because look how rich that colour is, it's very rich in colour. So I can just go round, around even, and just look how I'm going over several times. I'm going over there, not once, not twice, several times. But you can see now that that blue has then overtaken the salvage patina. So you can see I've got lines on there. So go back to your selvage patina, blend out and soften your lines with the salvaged patina and bring it around a little bit more, just so we're extending that a little bit more. So you've got your salvage patina, which blends out those harsh lines. Good evening, Jill. Hello there. So now I'm going to go back to the cracked pistachio and just add the cracked pistachio. And can you see how many times I'm going over? It's not once or twice, it's several times. Now we want to make sure you can see that twisted citron, which is the last colour. No different than if you were doing exactly the same with your pencils, your coloured pencils. You're just blending, but it's all about layering that colour. So we're now going to remove our stencil, which I can't think what the name is. So let's remove our stencil. So we'll remove the low tack tape. And I never remember which piece I've put down first, ever. So we'll remove our low tack tape. Now, if your tape is very tacky, just add that to your clothes and it'll de-tack it a little bit, just so that you don't rip your card. Or make sure that you remove your low tack tape at an angle, because then it just makes it much more simplified and less likely to tear when you remove that low tack tape. I told you I didn't know which one I put on first. So I just add my tape to a little container because I use it several times. We can't go wasting low tack tape. So I use mine several times. And if you've got ink on your low tack tape like Distress Oxides, just wipe it before you go to your next project. So let's just remove this. So now you've used your bauble stencil, and what you've got is you've got this. You can also use this ink by spritzing it with water and adding it to another piece of white card. So now you've used your bauble stencil for something that isn't a bauble, which is perfect. You've got another use for it. It's great to have products that have got other uses. So what I'm going to do now, I haven't got a clue what I'm really going to do now, but I've got my stamp in front of me. I'm going to use TE27 that's got the beautiful moth on there, but I'm going to use this little foliage plant here. Now, if you wanted to, you could quite easily make this into Christmas, no problem at all. But if you wanted it non-Christmas, it's easy to adapt it. So let's move those scissors out of the way. So I have my little foliage stamp from the A7 stamp set, and I have grass green and I have avocado. If you have any questions whilst I'm demoing live, just feel free to add your questions to the comments and I'll answer best I can if I know the answer. But you get a beautiful blend, and trust me, it's not just about the products, it's about simple, easy techniques and instructions to follow. Don't be put off by blending. It's so easy and it's not complicated at all. And if all you want to do for the rest of your life with your cards is doing some simple blending, trust me, you can get some beautiful combinations and ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little foliage plant and I'm going to take Avocado VersaFine Clair. So I'm going to take the VersaFine Clair avocado ink. And I've not dried or added any water to this at the moment. And what I'm going to do, so say you've got a little bit of a straight line here where we were at the top. That doesn't matter, because we're going to begin by adding a little bit of this foliage stamp round here. Now, did you see how I masked this off? Masked this area off here. Now, you don't need any special tools. You can now create a wreath card with this. So you can create your wreath cards by inking a little tiny bit of ink around here and just going round with your stamps. So you can get a perfect circle with no special tools. No special tools needed. And if you want a bigger circle, draw round a plate. You don't need any special tools. So we're then going to add more of the foliage. So I could go round like so. Simply going round the circle. I've got a guide there. But if you want something to have a little bit more depth, add a little bit of second generation. By adding a little bit of second generation, you instantly get some depth. However, when you're adding your VersaFine Clair inks to oxide ink, let me just stand up just so that you can see this. You can see that it has a little bit, there you go. Can you see that? It's still wet on there. So at the end, we will dry it a little once I've splattered with water, and we will dry it a little and blot it. So just be aware of that when you're using your VersaFine Clairs. If you need any of the VersaFine Clairs, they're on my website as well. The new colours are wonderful. So what we're going to do is continue around our sort of half circle or 3/4 circle. It's not even a full circle, but you can just simply create a wreath quite easily. So then just add your second generation, it gives it more depth. You can even add your third generation to give it even further depth. Think about how you colour with your coloured pencils. You normally have a light, medium and dark, and just think about your stamps in the same way. Just think about it that way. So let's go around again. And with my live workshops, going forward, it's going to be about simple techniques, because going forward, it's more important that I reconnect with you and that I show that stamps, how versatile they are. There's no point me selling stamps that you can't do everything with them. You can create your own ephemera, your own embellishments, your own washi tape, everything. So with your A4 stamps, you can create your own washi. It's as simple as anything to create your own washi. You can create it out of copier paper really easily. So it's so easy. So we're going to take the floral all the way round. Oh, thank you, Hilda. That's so lovely. I don't like listening to my voice. I'm sorry. My voice is not soothing to me at all. But if you apply another sort of layer, just so that you've got that second generation, just like your pencils, it gives it more depth. So that is our avocado. So then I'm going to take grass green. So we'll take the grass green, add our grass green, and because of the way this stamp is and it's small little silhouette, I can literally just stamp straight over the top, first generation, second generation, and just so that you can see that, just beautiful colours. Now don't forget, we're thinking up some simple ideas, because I'm well aware that some of you do not like fussy cutting. I adore fussy cutting, and I will always be an advocate for fussy cutting, but I need to be all-inclusive, and I need to show those of you that don't like fussy cutting to not be told, you know, you can't have stamps because you don't like fussy cutting. Yes, you can. So we can go around and just add balance with our first and second generations. Oh, so I guess that means more workshops live next year. Oh, definitely, yes, definitely. Although there's not much I could teach you, Jill. Absolutely not. But for me, it's not going forward. I want us to get away from, you've got to be having 100 different new techniques every month. I want it to be about, let's pare it back. Let's go back and go back to some of the simple techniques and see how we can get some beautiful results. Of course, I'm talking about UK. So we're still using the grass green. There we go. We use the grass green and we use the second generation. So we already have something that is looking very pleasant to the eye. Now, you could quite easily draw a little string up here and it could be Christmas, but it doesn't have to be. Just think outside the box. But if you can't think outside the box, and just for you being creative, is about just losing yourself, just copy the ideas exactly. It doesn't matter. Having your stamps and stencils isn't about having to do something different all the time. If you want to do the same thing, but you find it quite mindful, then do the same thing over and over again. For me, as long as you're using your products and they're not sitting on a shelf, that's the most important thing. Now, I want to add a little bit of blue because we added the salty ocean in the background. So I'm going to use barley blue, which I'm probably pronouncing totally incorrectly, but I'm going to use barley blue. Just a beautiful colour. So I'm going to take that barley blue, and you can see I've not cleaned my stamp in between. So I'm going to add a little bit up there. This blue is stunning. Now look at the blue. So what that does is the blue here brings this blue here into the background as well as into the foreground. I spend most of my life lost in being creative. Rebecca, I can't think of anything nicer. For me, I just love it. You know, to be honest, I don't want to be preachy or anything. For me, it's not about, you know, I know obviously there's ladies who love doing their market stalls and love selling and everything. But for me, you know, some people will say, what do you do with the tag, Tracy? I don't do anything with it. I look at it and admire it. And when I give a card to somebody, if they've had a beautiful birthday and they've appreciated the card for a week, I'm not bothered if it goes in the bin then, that's fine. They've appreciated it, they've enjoyed it, it's had its desired effect. I think we sometimes think too much about things and there's just no need. I think it's time well spent as well, Patricia, and time like this, chatting together. So I'm now going to add the blue, and what I'm doing is, like I did with the blending, I'm not covering up all the avocado. So I'm just trying to add a bit of the blue, but not covering up all of my other layers. Exactly, Lynn. I'm trying not to cover up all of my other layers. I don't need a reason to be creative. If I want to stick all these samples in a book and look at them for the next 6 months and that makes me happy, well, that's fine. For me, the most important thing is using them products and enjoying them. There doesn't have to be a reason for me to be doing it. There just doesn't. So I've got my blues on there, and I think that's got a lovely balance in there, but we don't want it to be too much. I want to leave some white space. But what I'm going to do is I'll have another card, because we're going to add to this, but what I want to show you is, what if you don't want to add these colours? What if you want to take this idea and make it look completely different? So we're going to we're going to try and do sort of two ideas alongside each other. So I'm going to take the same stencil. So this time, let's put it a little bit further up. Let's take the low tack tape, just so I can show you how it looks completely different. So if Tracy or Kay or Jill, or you've got an idea from Tim Holtz, whatever, whoever gives you the idea, think about doing it in a totally different colour scheme and see how it changes the whole effect. I'm just going to show you something simple with what I mean. So I'm using the same piece of low tack tape, and at this time we'll just use salvage patina. Why is it always the last colour that you reach for? Sorry for putting my arms across the camera, but I never was professional. So we're going to take the salvage patina, and I'm not going to worry that I've got these other colours on my stencil. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. What does is that I need to remember just to cover these up. And I'm just going to show you how a different colour ink can make things look completely different. So what I'm going to do is just take the salvage patina. Look where my hand is on the blending brush. So can you see where my hand is on the blending brush? Look how many times I'm going over. That's how you get a beautiful blend, not by just applying it once. But there you go, nothing complicated. Let's remove our low tack tape. And again, still didn't remember which order I placed the low tack tape on. So, remove your stencil, and then just go over your area that's got a little bit of a line and just blend a little bit more ink, and then we can add to it. Now, to make it look completely different, and just sometimes to get you to think a little bit differently, take just one colour. So for instance, this is Twilight. Take your Twilight and just do it with one colour. So just use your twilight, just apply it once, then twice, and then repeat. So just go around, and if you wanted to, if I just do it all with the single colour, you could get, it's no problem at all, Wendy, welcome. If you didn't want to add all the detailed sort of second generations I'm doing, and say that you like a more pared back look, like our lovely Rebecca loves, if you like a more pared back look and you don't want too much stamping, why not just do one colour and then add your image? You don't have to have the second generation. We all create in different ways. And that's why companies have a design team, because wouldn't it be boring if all the samples looked exactly the same as mine? For instance, you could do with red. So like I've done here with the red. But let's just add the second generation just around here. So that's why companies have a design team, because you need to showcase different styles. So let's now just add the second generation just around here. Okay, little bit there of the third generation. There we go. So I think what I'm trying to say is that if you don't want it in multicolours, you don't have to. You can have it just in the one sort of monochromatic with a subtle lighter colour, or if you wish, you can have it with touches of red on there. It's entirely up to you how you mix that up. So I now want to add some image in here, but what I want to do now is I want to spritz this with a little bit of water. Most of us know that the oxides are reactive to water, so I'm going to use my spritzer, and we're just going to spritz that with water. And we're just going to give that a couple of seconds, and what that will do is it will just soften the look a little bit more. Now, if you like the lovely blended look and you don't want to add water, don't add water. Just remember to give it a little bit of a waft with the heat tool, because you've used this VersaFine Clair and you've got a layer of oxide ink that's just sitting there. Give that a waft with your heat tool. Now, if we give that a few seconds, we've then got that softened like so with a little bit of the water, just so that you can see the beautiful effect you've got. Let's not forget the lighter coloured one. And you can, if you wish, you can spritz your card on the reverse, and that's supposed to flatten your card out. But I'm going to test something else that somebody told me about, or I saw it on somebody's group. I don't know now, but we'll see if it works later. So we'll let that just rest on one side, and we'll just wipe our non-stick craft sheet, which is still absolutely soaking wet. Do you know, now I've calmed down and I've settled down a little bit, I know I'm going to enjoy the live workshops, because it's just lovely to have your company. Now I'm going to use my text stamp, which I know most of you will be bored of me using this text stamp. Look how well used it is. It actually stays in that position, it's that bent. But these are quality photopolymer stamps, so they can take a little bit of action. So I've got my text stamp here, and my card is wet. I want it to be wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of the colours I've used in the background. So I'm going to pick Salty Ocean. So we'll pick Salty Ocean. Now, because the background is wet, that will just make my text a little bit softer, a little bit more sort of watery, which is the look I want. So I'm just touching that with my finger. Can you see how strong that Salty Ocean is? It's a very strong colour, but I've got moisture on there. So I'm literally laying the stamp on there, and I'm going to use one finger because I just want it to be nice and light. Now, the one thing that you do have to remember when you're using your oxide inks is to clean your stamp. I never clean my stamps unless I'm using oxide inks or I'm using paint. And the reason you have to remove that oxide ink is because when you go back in with some VersaFine Clair, it will affect your VersaFine Clair application. So just wipe it clean of the Distress oxide inks. So at the moment, if you just want a very pared back look and you don't want anything else, you could have it like that, literally put a little, you know, piece of string, and you could have it really pared back with a Christmas sentiment. This is the Selvage Patina. Can you see there's nice wet ink on there? I'm still not drying. So this time we'll take the text and we'll just take a little bit of the Selvage Patina. Everybody's got different taste. And we'll take a little bit of the Selvage Patina again whilst everything is wet, and we'll just add a little bit of the Selvage Patina. And what will happen is the darker blue that is on there that I wiped off, there'll still be a little bit of that darker blue, but you will also see that it sort of reacts with the water a little bit because there's more water on this card. So let me show you, there's a little bit more water on that card. And these colours here are just what my stamps picked up from here. So that's all this ink is here, these little bits is what it picked up from here, because I only cleaned it a little bit. Oh, thank you, Patricia. I have so missed live workshops. I don't do YouTube. Oh, bless you, Jill. And Jill is another lady who also does Facebook Lives. If you're looking for inspiration with mixed media pieces as well, check out Jill Humphrey. Sorry, I've got to go. No problem, Julie. Watch it later. Thank you, Tracy. No problem at all, Julia. Thank you for joining us. Just go in and out whenever you wish. Now, whilst this is wet, I'm going to add some more water. So I'm going to spritz the cards again with water. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take my Posca pen whilst it is wet. So I'm going to take the Posca pen and I'm just going to add some of the Posca pen whilst it is wet. And you can see which card is wetter than the other card. Really, you would do these splatters at the end, but I'm just doing it while you can see. If you add the Posca paint, wet pen, when it's really wet, you will get a diffused splatter of paint bleeding out, and it really adds to your background. It will just bleed out and give a softer look. This is drier and you just get those white splatters. But where it hits the water, let me see if I can just do it again on this one, which is a bit of a pain for you. Let's see if I can do it further up. If you do it here, so I've got real water on there. Let's see if I can splatter a bit closer up. This is going to be easy. There we go. It goes out like a cloud. I'm doing it too much now, but it goes out like a cloud and it will bleed out and it gives a different effect to your card. Now, I don't know how true this is, but let's try it on the soaking wet card. Somebody said in a group that if you've got a baking tray, I'm not convinced, but if you've got a baking tray and you dry your card, it doesn't bend. I can't believe that, but there you go. So there's a baking tray. Let's give it a try. So we'll just dry the card. I can still see my card bending, so this could be utter nonsense. I think it is. But what you can do is you can wet your card underneath and on the back, and it's supposed to help that flatten out if you can let that dry naturally. It's supposed to help that flatten out. So I'm sorry, I'm not convinced by the baking tray trick at all. So if you can let that dry naturally, it works really well. As you can see with this one, I've hardly got any bend because I've not put any heat tool on it. So, but I don't worry about that. I don't worry about the bend because I use my wet glue and I force it. My kind of baking, exactly, Rebecca. I don't do baking. We leave that to Anne. Anne can do the baking. I don't do baking. Now here I've got wet, spit it out, wet Posca pen. Do you like how I can't get my words out? I don't know where my brain's gone. My kind of baking. So it's still wet on there. Did you see the comment as well, Denise? No, I saw this about 3 days ago. Oh, how funny. Yeah, I saw it about 3 days ago. Well, let me show you, Denise. Baking tray, it's not flat. I can't remember who I saw it, but that's not flat. But if you let it dry naturally, or put it in between a book, it's fine. Or iron it if you want. Or don't give a monkeys like I don't and stick it down anyway and force it down, because what I tend to do is when it's wet on the back, it'll flatten out a bit eventually, and then I just bend it a little bit. I don't get too stressed. So we've now got our card on here, and what we want to do is just add some detail to this. So I think what we'll do is, where are you? Which one are we going to do? I think I'm going to use the pheasants from the Alpha Florals. I'll have to dry. If I have to dry, I dry from front. That correct, Rebecca? Yes, I dry from the front and then the back. That's what I normally do. But I wanted to test that out because I'm sure it was more than one person. My baking trays are bent anyway. You've got no chance then. But you see, I normally do what Rebecca said. I normally add water to the back I can, and then I will heat from the reverse as well, and then it just dries it out the other way. But I will spend time, and I can feel it already bending the other way. So I just reverse, dry from the back. I can't be bothered to do it now. And then I just go like this when it's warm, and it's fine. But I had to give it a try because I'm sure I saw 2 comments. I'm sure there was 2 ladies who said, oh, dry it on a baking tray and it keeps it flat. I thought, oh, I'll try that on my live. But then the lady will probably come on now and said, you forgot this step. So we never know. We'll have to see. So I'm going to use the pheasants here on the little... Now, if you wanted to, you could add berries to this, or you could make it a complete circle. So it's a wreath quite easily. No special tools needed. So I'm going to take my little pheasants. Now, if you've got a small stamp, obviously not this one I've inked, and say that you are struggling because it rocks on your acrylic block, if you find that your small stamp rocks on the acrylic block, add another stamp, another small stamp to the top of the acrylic block, and that will stop it rocking. So which way are you facing? Oh yes. So I'm going to take my black ink. Now if you don't have to use black ink, we'll use Twilight on the other card and see how that looks. But I'm going to use my Nocturne ink on this just to add the little pheasants. So I'm then going to, you can decide where you want to, this is where you try not to stick your head in there. Where do I want it? I want it there, I don't want it there. This is where you spend 20 minutes trying to decide where you're going to put the placement of the pheasant, which is me all over. What I have to say is the time has gone so quickly. What you need to do with silhouette stamps is, don't forget, I've not dried this card. So with your silhouette stamps, just give them time just to sort of absorb onto the surface of that card, especially when you've got those oxide inks on there. I've seen a few comments where ladies have said that the VersaFine Clair can't be stamped onto oxides. Yes, it can. It's just about taking time, blotting your image or drying slightly, just to make sure that you don't leave any residue on there. So yes, it does work. Sometimes we can be just in a little bit of a rush before we give the ink time. But don't worry if it doesn't take perfectly. Just go in there with your black micron pen. So let's add you there, like so. And again, just give that time just to absorb onto the surface. Could you imagine me doing this if I was demoing on TV? There's no way I'd get this done. Hey Jill, are you on TV soon? I'm sure Jill, I'm sure you're still on TV, aren't you, Jill, on Hobby Maker? Time always goes quick when you're enjoying yourself. It's gone so quick, Anne. I've hardly done anything, it's gone so quick. But I must admit, I am a little bit of a slow crafter. Right, here's an example. Can you see? I've got a little bit of the image, but it's not taken because I've not dried my card, it's wet. But that's fine, that's what we want. Because what I want to show you is, stop panicking about your cards. You've got the shadow of it. Just take your micron pen and just draw it in. Don't get too stressed if something hasn't worked out for you. Just go in and add your black ink. So just make sure, and all as that was actually, I didn't press the ink here and miss the black there. Don't panic. Exactly, it gives more depth, Isabella. It sort of draws your eye into the focal image. So what I'm going to do now, both myself and the design team are slightly obsessed, and I know we're mad, with the little squares and the rectangle, because we love it. Because if you look, where's my samples? Let me just grab my samples. The little rectangle on this stamp set is just wonderful as a background. Where is it? Why can you never find the card you want straight away? So the little rectangle, no shows planned at the moment. I am away a lot for December. Oh, brilliant. That's true, yeah, because I just thought I do try and check the schedule. So you can see the sort of oblong rectangle, whatever you call it, and the little square really are fun to use. I haven't forgot that I need to show my samples for the new release, just for those ladies that don't do YouTube. So I will show the samples as well at the end. So I'm going to use, sorry, not the square, I'm going to use the little tag here. So we'll take the little tag, and nothing complicated. I am totally obsessed. I'm working on something now with the square. If you want some ideas with the square, check out Lindsay's social media sites. She's done a lovely idea with the square. So have all the design team. All the design team have done a lovely idea. So I'm going to take the pheasant away. Do you know, I don't think I've done a tag one, have I? Doesn't matter. This isn't like I've got to rush. So I'm going to take the tag now. We'll just take the little tag. And if you want to leave it like that, leave it like that. It's your card. You don't have to do everything I've done. Now here, I'm just going to add a little bit more, sort of, just bring it down a little bit. There we go. Just because I'm being a bit pernickety. So because I've faffed now, I'm going to ink my stamp. I feel like I'm being boiled because I think my husband's put the heating on. So I'm going to add a little tag here, like so. Oh, thank you, Lynn. That is lovely. That is perfect. Thank you. If you just check out Lynn's idea, it's wonderful. And if you want any ideas of doing something other than cards, check out Lucy's social media platform. She's the fabric queen. She does a lot of lovely samples with fabrics. The whole design team have got so many different ideas. You know, Patricia and Anne have posted some beautiful samples today, so check them out. So as you can see, I've done nothing complicated, nothing that none of you can do. You can all do this. So easy. And adapting the products. So what I'm going to do then, I don't know, I do apologise, I don't think I've cut a tag out, but you'll forgive me, I'm sure. So let me grab some copier paper. So let's use some copier paper we've already got here. And because I'm enjoying myself, I'm not rushing. Oh, thank you, Helen. It's lovely to have your company. So I've got some scratty copier paper here. Oh, what are you doing, Tracy? Grab the stamp, woman. So take the tag. And then I'm just going to take any ink, like so. I haven't forgotten about the other sample. So we're then going to take the tag. And going forward, if you're not interested in the videos, they're too long, don't forget you can watch them on catch up. You don't have to watch live if it isn't your thing. So let's just cut out a little mask. And really, I don't have to worry about cutting the top out perfectly because it's only the bottom bit I want, really. So I'm just cutting the inside out. I'm using my Pergamano scissors. I don't do Pergamano. I just love the scissors because they've got a curve to them. I'm sure you could use some nail scissors in exactly the same way. I just like the curve that they've got. Now, I've cut that out and I've gone to the trouble of cutting it out. So I want to make sure I keep that in my little wallet. keep a little bit of paper around it. And then I've got a little wallet with all my masks in there. The lovely Lynn sent me some masking sheets as well. But I tend to not use masking sheets when I'm doing a live video because the copier paper is just a little bit quicker for me. So we've now got, thank you Helen, we've now got a little aperture, like a little mask for my little tag. So I can then, if you leave a little bit of paper around the outside, I've then got my little mask, and then I'm going to take the same pheasants, or one of the pheasants. So let's take that pheasant, take the acrylic block, so take, and when I do live workshops, paid workshops, they're exactly the same as this. I'm no different. I do waffle a lot though. A post-it note, you can use a post-it note, absolutely. I've got none, but a post-it note is perfect. Post-it note, whatever you've got to hand. But just check that you've got enough ink on your stamp. I often forget to press. But now I can add the same pheasant to my tag. Again, you've got oxides on there, so make sure that you give that time. This looks fabulous. Reminds me of last year's workshop I did. Oh, goodbye. Doggy needs to go out. No problem, Denise. You take your little dog out. So I'm just giving that, you can see, I'm just giving that time just to absorb onto the surface of the card. Whatever mask you use, you need to remember that it's not thick paper because you don't want that to have any thickness to it because you'll end up with a little ridge. But you want a little bit of paper on the outside so that you don't go onto your card. So then we've got our little pheasant just on in our little tag like so. And then if we just add a little, and you can make it little and squiggly if you want, you can make it a straight line if you want, whatever you wish. Nothing complicated, simple ideas, nothing too over the top. So then Tracy frantically looks for her white pen that she didn't get. Just a second. Now, there is no point coming in with white pens unless your ink is completely dry. The design team, let me see if I can get them all right. The design team is Anne Young. If any of you ladies on my design team can put your names underneath listings so that people can follow you. There is Anne Young, there is Lucy Edmondson, there is Victoria Wilding, there is Rebecca Jane, there is Lynn Lindsay, Patricia Yodel, and they're all in the group. If you want to look for them, if you go to the magnifying glass at the top of the page and you search their names, you will see their names and their artwork pop up, and you can click on their names and then follow their social media platforms. But by all means, ladies, even when the live is finished, add your links to your social media platforms so that everybody can follow you. Because seriously, the samples are lovely. And I know every company says the design team is amazing, but the design team, they're friends also, and they really do care that you're inspired and you use your stamps just like me. No problem, Jane, no problem at all. Come and go as much as you wish. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a few little touches of white. Now, if you wish, you can do this with your pastel pencils. You can add white. You can add white with a little touch of white pencil. But whatever you do, it needs to be dry. Your ink needs to be dry. If it isn't dry, it's not going to work. So just adding a few little touches of white just here and there, just on my pheasant. This is still going to be wet, so what you need to do is I will let this dry naturally just so that I can add touches of white. When it's dried naturally, I come back and I add another touch, another layer of my Posca pen. If you don't like doing it that way, use white paint and you can add white paint, but I come back and I add another layer. However, I want a little bit more depth now. Where is my Inktense pencil? what you should do, Tracy, is not put everything on top of everything, and then you'd be able to find. I actually tied it up, believe it or not. Let's just... Oh, there it is. I knew I'd tied it up a little bit. So I want to add a little bit more depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Inktense pencil, which is called Chinese ink. I think it's 2030. It's an Inktense pencil. Inktense, reactive with water. You don't have to have the Inktense pencil. You can use a grey oxide ink if you wish. This is just a little bit darker. And Victoria is adding the names for you. Thank you, Victoria. She's adding the names of the design team for you. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding a little bit of shading. Always have a little bit of copier. Tidy, what's that? Have a little bit of copier paper at one side so you can take off any excess that you don't need. We also need to ground the little pheasants a little bit. We need to ground those and just add a little bit of the grey. Now what you have to remember is that you've got this oxide ink on there, so you are going to activate the oxide a little bit, so just remember that. So I'm going to add a little bit of shading underneath. Yes, you can find the names by searching on Facebook or Instagram. Sometimes Instagram people are under a different name. So I'm just adding a little bit of shading just underneath, and you can dab with your kitchen roll to take any of the excess from there. So at the moment there is nothing that is Christmassy on there. If you want to make that Christmassy, you can take TE21 and you can take a piece of the holly and you can add the holly to the top and a little bit of twine, and you've then got a Christmas inspired card. On the TE21 I've got with warmest wishes, so I'm going to use with warmest wishes. Now this is completely flat, there's no cutting out. If those of you don't like fussy cutting, I've then catered the a card with no fussy cutting. Did you lose it there, Anne? No problem at all. You can easily watch on rewind. Yes, you can buy Inktense pencils individually. You can get them from Amazon or your local small art supply shop. They all sell them individually. It's called Chinese ink. So now I'm going to stamp with warmest wishes. Now what you need to, when your stamps are well used like mine, just make sure they're not going to fall off. If they've been well used, just give them a wipe at the back or wash in soapy water and the stickiness will come back again. So I'm going to use with warmest wishes. So we'll take with warmest wishes. They definitely sell them individually. And I'm going to keep my warmest wishes within my cluster of the imagery. So I'm just going to allow that just to absorb onto the surface. You really don't need to press these sentiments. They come out really well. They're very fine and you don't need to press hard. So you've got with warmest wishes on there, and I'm just going to give this a little bit of a blend. Now, if you wanted to take this up a level, I'm not going to on this occasion, but if you wanted to take this up a level, you can add gold flakes. You could add some glitter just by using your Quickie glue pen and adding a few dots. If you want more inspiration with these stamps, check out my website at tracyevansboutiquedesigns.com, and the gallery is there and you can see some further designs. So I'm going to just add a little bit of blending just underneath. Take away a little bit of moisture if you've got too much moisture, and then you can just dab with your kitchen roll. And then if you want, you can also add berries as well, should you wish. Let's bring in the bluish one, which now, because I've sprayed it from the back and I've dried a little bit from the back, it's still very wet, but it's flattened out a great deal. So what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to finish this card like I've done this, but I want to show you how the pheasant or any of these little critters, where have you gone? Because the little critters are in black doesn't mean they have to be stamped in black, but I'm just going to use the twilight. So let's take the twilight and let's have a look what the pheasant looks like in twilight. It doesn't matter if I ruin the card, I don't mind, it's fine. So I'm then going to just add the pheasant in the twilight. Just allow that just to absorb onto the surface of the card a little bit, because this card is really wet. And it looks just as beautiful in the twilight, I think. It looks just as beautiful. And if we wanted to, where's the berries? You could take the berry stamp, which is, I've got more stamps than cents on here now. If you look at TE21, we've got the little berry stamp on here, and I could take the twilight ink. I've got water all on here. You can also see how soft the Posca pen is on there. It's beautiful. Hello, Doreen. Thank you, Anne. So if you wanted to use the twilight and the berries, so let's take the berries. So what I'm trying to show you here is not to just give a demo, but to also show you how you can advance that demo should you wish. You don't have to, but if you want to add a few berries, you can then take your berries and add a few berries just around should you wish. So you can take it up, leave it down, whatever you want. The squirrels would look good. You know, if you wanted to add the squirrels, you could add the squirrels. But just so you can see, if you want to add berries, you can add berries. Obviously, you would go in and you would add your touches of white to your berries and your leaf. These little touches are just so important, just to add these little details. Now, because these leaves have dried really well, my Posca pen is working beautifully. So don't try and use your Posca pen when your ink isn't dry. You need to make sure that that is completely dry. So just adding those white touches just gives it a little bit more depth. And because this is sort of blue, you can go around. You could also make it a little bit more sort of snowy, or you can just splatter with your Posca pen. Now, you remember I did soak this card, so just remember it's completely soaked. So we'll just leave that there at the moment. You can also add your touches of white just to here as well. So just take your touches of white. Is it snowing in Nova Scotia, Barbie? Oh no. Oh, bless you joining us. So add your touches of white because it lifts everything and it just looks like a more finished sample. It's not that you're over cluttering it, you're just adding a little bit more brightness and a little bit more depth each time you add the layers to your design. So what we can do then, on this one, you can, I've got all my samples everywhere. On this one here, you could take a little bit of the mistletoe. So let's take, and this mistletoe has got one piece on its own. So obviously I can turn this more Christmassy if I want. So I've shown you how you can pare it back and make it non-Christmas, or if you want to do a really simple Christmas design, you can just add the leaves on their own, nothing else. Just add a little bit of mistletoe. Let's just add that there. So I'm just using the single piece of mistletoe. So just trying to show you each time how you can change it up. And I'm doing this with the twilight So let's turn that this way a little bit, like so. So you can just add, so this could be to, you know, a masculine partner or husband. Obviously your husband would be masculine, but there you go, you know what I mean. You would let this dry. You would let this dry, but obviously we want to mat and layer this. You would also let this dry before you then come in and just add the touches of white. So, and then always make sure your hands are clean, which mine are not. So just make sure they're clean. And then I'm going to grab a mat and layer. Now, I don't like to mat and layer my cards onto black card for Christmas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own mat and layer. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. So I have got no coloured cardstock to my name because I don't use coloured cardstock. I don't use decorative paper. That's just me. So what I'm going to do is create my own mat and layer. So you can then decide what mat and layer you want to use. So for the salvage patina one, I'll create a salvage patina layer. So I'm just going to go round. Now you can do your blending brushes and you've got a nice subtle colour. I don't want it too subtle, so I'm just going to do direct to paper like so. Just direct to paper. Then if you add any ink to the non-stick craft sheet, you can then pick that up with another piece of card. So I'm doing direct to paper and I'm adding a thick layer of the oxide ink. Now that oxide ink is just sitting on there. Obviously you would not waste this ink. You can see if I spritz it, you could use another piece of card and mop that up quite easily. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spritz lightly, because then even my mat and layer will have a little bit of a bleached out look. I don't want to add too much moisture. I just want it to have a slightly bleached outlook. So now I've created my own backing paper. Don't need to buy any backing papers to coordinate with my project. I've created my own backing paper. If I add this to here, now you wouldn't add that, would you, while it was wet? You just wouldn't. You'd let it dry. If you were being professional, you would let that dry. I'm not going to. So if we add this now, we haven't added a sentiment to this, don't forget. So let's just add this to here. Now don't forget, these demos are off the cuff. There's no plan, they were off the cuff. So let's just add that like so. So you can see my card is very wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up like so, and I'm just going to make sure that I touch the centre of that card, just to make sure that it's stuck down, because I don't want it to have a dome in the centre. So just make sure, if you're a little bit unsure about using your hands all over your card, take a piece of copier paper and place your copier paper over the top. So that's pretty much stuck down. So let's add a sentiment with warmest wishes again, just to this card. And don't panic, should you make a mistake on the card, well then you can cut the sentiment out quite easily. So then I'm going to take the Twilight ink. Don't ink over your card, ask me how I know. Make sure it's going to stay on there. You can add with warmest wishes like so. You don't need to press hard. It's just works beautifully every time, and it works really nicely just with that stamped as it is. Use some copier paper or a piece of card to blot your ink if you haven't dried it, because it will have some ink on there. So make sure you blot it, or blot it with copier paper. But it looks beautiful with its own mat and layer. So let's add a mat and layer to this one. Oh, bless you, Jill. Mind you, I bet you spend most of your time in your conservatory, Jill. Because Jill has a whole host of Facebook Lives, and she even posts, she's very organised. She even tells you when she's going live well in advance with a schedule, unlike Tracy Evans. Right. So we're going to add our mat and layer to this now. Now, if you want to make it really opulent for somebody really special, but you just haven't got the time to, you know, you've got to churn these cards out for some reason, but you want to just add a little touch, just add a few little specks of gold or even a gold gel pen, just make it extra special. So now I'm going to go around with my twisted citron and I'm going to go direct to paper because I want the direct to paper look. You might not want the direct to paper look. You may want it a bit more subtle using your blending brushes. That's absolutely fine. But don't leave that ink sitting on there. Mop it up with another card. Don't do what I'm doing because it's sacrilege. But if I mop up every piece of ink on this live, you'll be here for 3 weeks. But what I don't want you to do is, if you leave this oxide ink, just like that, it's sitting on the surface, the wet ink. You don't want that. Either dry it or make sure you give it a little spritz to activate the ink and the oxidisation. In other words, it goes a little bit chalky, cloudy. And then we'll just dab that, just to give it a little bit of that soft, cloudy feel. Because the mat and layer, all your cards, and if you don't want to do a card, do this in your journal. Do it. You don't have to do a card. If you're not a card maker, do it on a journal. Or stick it in your journal. So then we're going to add this to our card. So let's just add this. And the other thing, say you make a card and there's something you're not happy with. Say there's something that's not quite working for you. Let me just move that down. And because my card is wet, I haven't got enough adhesive. But say you're like me, you've gone to the craft room and something's not quite gelling. Let me just get this on here first. Something's not quite gelling. Let me just move that down a bit. There we go. So bend my card just so that it grabs hold of that adhesive. There we go. So say something's not gelling. Oh, I don't buy background paper because I can never get the right colour. It drove me nuts. I could never get the right colour, so I'll make my own now. So what I do now is, say I'm looking at it and I think, well, it's not quite gelling for me. Sometimes it can be a little touch like this. Where's my little fine brush? Let's get the splatter brush. Oh, bless you, Anne. It can be something. So say something's not quite gelling and you're looking at your card and you think, something's missing. It's not quite cohesive. A simple thing like this. So can you see that I've added this citrusy backdrop? So what I want to do is I want the person that receives this card to think that it's been thought about. So what I do is take a little bit of the colour that you've put in your own handmade background paper. Shush, don't tell everybody we've only put ink on there. Take your twisted citron and just add, let's add a little bit more water. Just add a few delicate splatters of twisted citron. Only delicate ones. You don't want it in your face. You just want it very delicate. It does help if I put enough on there. Bless you, Anne. And sometimes all it is that the colour that you've put in your backing paper is not showing on the white background. That's better, thank you. Right, so I'll lift this up for you so you can see, but just let me clean my little brush. Let me just clean that. It can be as simple as just adding the twisted citron that's here and the lighter avocado here. Just adding a few little delicate splatters makes it a more cohesive design. Now, there's not one complicated thing about this, but I always think a nice card blank finishes it off. So let me get some copy paper. So I always like to get a piece of copy paper when I'm going to put the white card blank on, because then I don't get no dirty marks on there. Now my card is wet. I'm just giving it a little bit of a bend just so that it's all straight. Then I'm going to add that. So my card was 5 inches square, my mat is 5 1/4 inches square, and my card blank is 6 inches square. And it always looks more finished off. And trust me, my craft room's never clean and tidy. Sacrilege, Tracy. So you can take simple ideas and you can move them on a little bit if you wish. You can, you know, just add touches of gold, or you can pare it back even more if you wish. It's entirely up to you. But I cut my card blanks from A3 card. So I like a nice sturdy card. I don't like a card that falls over on a mantelpiece. I'm sorry, that's just not me. So let's bring in this one, like so. So you can add some splatters of silver if you wish. So we could get, where's my little, that gold, all right. So what we could do is we could add some touches of silver to this one. Let's grab this. So we've nearly finished our card now, but I could quite easily take, I'm sure I've got a silver one. You know when you look at your pens and you think, is that silver? Yeah. So you could quite easily take a silver or gold pen and make it a little bit more opulent for the receiver. So don't forget, you just take from it what you want to take from it. So let's add this to a card blank so you can appreciate how much a card blank finishes everything off. So when you've made the card, if suddenly you've got this in your collection, but it's Auntie Emily's coming in, she's very special, but you weren't expecting Auntie Emily to come to your Christmas party, and you've only got one card left, but it's a bit plain. Plain is wonderful, but maybe Auntie Emily likes something a little bit more lavish. So what you can do then is take your gold and silver pens, and if you want, you can just add a few little, now don't go over the top, you still want it to be a classy make. So you can just add a few little touches of silver. Let me just hold that up so you can see that. Let me hold these both up for you. And what you can do is you can add some touches of silver. Let me see if I can get the little shimmer for you. There you go. So you can add some touches of shimmer, like so. Or you can add a few splatters. Or you can add some touches of gold and make this extra special by adding a little touch of gold shimmer. They will be available in the Netherlands. They actually, it's Douweding in the Netherlands. Douweding should have them already, because I'm sure they received my parcel the other day. And Stamp Table have ordered them as well. So they should have them soon, because they like them posted a different way. So they should have them soon. Okay, so just so you can see, look at the gold. That just gives it a touch of opulence. And then if you want to take it up another level, you can then add some gold leaf if you wish. However, so that one for me would be finished. Perfect. It doesn't have to be too over the top. I like the white space. Fine. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit more, so can you see I've got this blue around here? We've nearly finished now. I've said that 3 times. So can you see I've got this blue around here? I've got the blue here. So what I'm going to do, just to show, what have I just chucked on the floor? Just to give it a little bit more of a finishing touch, I'm going to take Salty Ocean. Let's take an acrylic block and add the Salty Ocean to the acrylic block so it's like my paint palette. We'll take a little bit of water. And obviously, normally, you would do all this before you mat and layered the card onto your card. I'm just showing you what if something. Yeah, so Douweding, thanks Katinka, and Barbara at Stamp Table has got them as well. So I can take my Salty Ocean and I can just add a little bit of that blue. Just take off the excess. rinse your brush, take off the excess, and then blend that harsh edge out, just so that you add a little bit of blue to that. Oh, bless you, Patricia. And that just finishes it off, because this blue here echoes the blue here, and it looks more finished off. Now, the only thing I'm going to ask from you is, if you want to see more Facebook Lives, let me know in the messages, in the comment. Oh, I can't speak. Let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure I do more Facebook Lives. I intend to do more Facebook Lives anyway, but what I don't intend to do is to over clutter Facebook with Tracy Evans. And that is your 2 cards finished. Nice simple designs, nice simple steps, and nothing complicated. And you know, I've really enjoyed your company. I really have. And if you want to join the live workshops, it's in exactly the same format, warts and all, no stress, nice and easy going. So if you want to join us for the 5 workshops, you'll find them on the website. Oh, bless you, Christine. So that's us finished. We've had a lovely hour and, oh, crikey, it's 20 to 9. We've had an hour and 40 minutes. You're joking. Oh, I can't believe that. An hour and 40 minutes. Really? You should have told me. Oh, bless you. Thank you, Barbie. Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Bless you all. I can't believe it. It's 20 to 9. You didn't tell me. I'm supposed to do an hour, not an hour and 40. What am I like? Oh, bless you. I'm so chuffed. I'm so pleased to have spent time with you. I was so nervous. I only went to the toilet about 20 times, so I'm so chuffed we've done it. Thank you, Jill. Thank you for joining me. I know how busy you are, so thank you so much. And thank you to Kay as well. I know you're both very busy. Oh, thank you, Barbie. You too. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your day, your evening, or whatever. And I'd just like to say thank you all for your support as well. So thank you so much. Love to all. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary. And I'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.